So on the 17th of July, as you can see here, ChatGPT made a very big announcement that they were introducing ChatGPT Agents to bridge the gap between research and action. So what can this agent do? Like they said here, that this agent can now work for you using its own computer, handling tasks from start to finish. So you can essentially ask this ChatGPT agent to handle requests like look at my calendar and brief me on upcoming client meetings based on recent news, plan and buy ingredients, and make Japanese breakfast for 4. The list is endless what you can do with this. In this video is going to be all about walking you through what you can do with this agent that ChatGPT has released. I'm going to be starting by giving you an overview of the agent, what you can do with the agent, what the agent is all about, the capabilities. And secondly, we'll be doing the first demo. The first demo is to create a presentation from a Notion page. I've got this article, like loads of articles I have on Notion page, and I want to create a presentation from it. We're going to be connecting to Notion and be able to do that. And finally, because this is a data channel, we're going to be doing something on data engineering tasks, working around ETL, getting data from Blob Storage, transforming it into Airtable. We'll see how that goes. You know what? Let's get right into it. First, this is my ChatGPT workspace. If you have the Pro subscription, you should be able to see the agent mode. If you don't see the agent mode, it's because you're not on a paid subscription. And from here, you can see I have 33 left. I've been using it. I think I was given around 38 or 40, I can remember. And I've been using it. It also has more capabilities you can explore. But when you click on this agent mode, all of a sudden, this changes to agent mode. And you can see suggested prompt that they've provided for me that if I want to analyze the compact EVs and hybrid SUVs under $45,000, I can do that. I can research. It just suggests. If I've got report, I want to compile recent funding rounds for these or different things. You have report, you want to analyze that report, you can use this to do that. If you want to create actions, you can say book Tesco delivery for ingredients and drinks. You can order pizza delivery for 10 people on Uber Eats. You can create loads of actions. When you're creating actions with this agent, you need to provide all of your credentials, your login details to the application you want it to have access to, and you need to be quite detailed in the prompt. For instance, if I click on this, you will see the details of the prompt will come up, and you see use Uber Eats to place a pizza order that we feed approximately 10 people. Choose a highly rated local pizza, and if I should click on this, it's going to run that. I'm not going to be doing this because that's not the point of this video. You've got one for spreadsheets. You want to do stuff with spreadsheets, you could do that. And you also have a presentation. You want to do presentation on maybe developing a go-to-market strategy for robotic pet launch. You can decide to go that route. So on actions, if I click on this one, find a 4-star hotel in Paris, and I click on this, it's going to tell me that these are the conditions that I'm setting. We are 2 adults and I want to book for October 31st to November 3rd. Bonus points if there's an indoor pool I can use to swim some laps, but not required. Try to keep it under £500. And if I click on this, what the agent does is that it's going to spin up a virtual environment where I can do my work, and it's going to start a server, and this is going to spin up a machine to do that, and it's going to show you live that it is working on it, and you will see the thought process while it is doing that. Essentially, it provides you a UI where you can see the work that the agent is doing. Typically, if you do a normal request with ChatGPT, you can see the thought process as a bunch of text, but this you can see a user interface where you can understand what is going on in real time. You can also go back. If there's anything you missed or you didn't see it clearly, you can go back to query that and just move around. And you can come back here and say you want to go live. And the agent is going to take a couple of minutes to go through that. I can also come here and stop it if I want to. I can click on activity and I can take over browser. If I click on this activity, you could see all of the activities that the agent is taking in real time. All the steps is making. Here it tells you I'm going to open hotels.com since the user hasn't provided login details. If you want it to be more personal, more personalized and custom, you need to provide login details to any website application you have access to. And it's just going to go there. It says that I'm currently waiting for the user to provide further instructions or details. If there's none, it just goes ahead based on what I have provided and it returns me some response. So I'll come back here and go back to desktop view, and I'm going to allow it for a while and would come back to it. So this is completed, and if I come down here, I'm going to see that the agent worked for 21 minutes, which is fair, because if you hire somebody to do this kind of research for you, it could take a whole day to do that, or if not two. And if I click on this, I could see all of the actions it took. I could come down here and scroll down. Like I said before, it's a UI environment and you can see all of the actions that it's taken. And I could also come to this place and see all of the activities and kind of break it down and see everything the agent had done. I go back to my desktop view. I could see what the report is. It gave me about 1, 2, 3, 4. It gave me 4 different hotels that fit my price range and the whole requirement I've set for the pool and gym and all of that. So it gives me key details, like this one says the highlight section notes these Peruvian inspired hotel has an on-site fitness central gym and other amenities such as bar, spa and laundry facilities. Well, that is a good one, but I plan to do something more interesting in this video. Here I've got a Notion page open, and I recently started learning system design and I've been taking notes in my learning. I have my notes from day 1 to day 5. I want to do a presentation with all of these notes I have prepared in learning system design. If I click on the first one, you can see a bunch of article and notes, everything from introduction to software architecture and everything. I want to come here and I'm going to publish this. The whole point of publishing is I don't want to go through the whole hassle of creating a token, giving the bot access to my internal resource. I just want to make it seamless for the bot to create a presentation from this. And I'm going to publish it. When I publish that, I can click on view site. And here I see the URL of my site that has been published. I can just copy this URL and I go back to Notion as well. So when I come back to my Notion page, I've got a prompt. And this prompt is what I'm going to be using to create the presentation from my system design notes. And the prompt is simple. It says make a presentation from this material on system design. The presentation should be done in Sketch whiteboard similar to Miro with hand-drawn icons, flows, sticky notes, element style. This is how I like to make presentations. I'm just going to post the entire URL, the link to what I have just published, and that is this. And all of these notes, I posted the link to it. So I'm going to copy my prompt and I'm going to do copy everything and Command C. I'll come back to this place. I've created a new instance of my ChatGPT and I'm going to click on the agent mode. I'm going to paste this. I see immediately this is taking the formatting from Notion. I'm going to delete that, come back to where I've posted this, copy this again, and come back to my new instance, and I'm going to paste this. Ensure this is on agent mode, and what this would do is going to go into my publish note and is going to iterate through every page I have there, look through all of the page, scan them, and create a presentation. And just like before, you're going to see it walk through the thought process as it works on it. And all of a sudden, because this is UI dependent, you can see that my Notion page is already open. It tells you everything that it's doing. Making my Notion page published in the web means that anybody can access it. And this bot is able to access that. And you can see all of the notes that I have is going through every note that I've prepared. and it's trying to scan through it. It is going to go through each of the pages and scan through them and create that presentation for me. And I'm going to leave it for a while and we'll come back to it when it's completed. For about 41 minutes, I was watching this, going through all of the stages, systematically describing what it's going to do, how it's going to do it, and how it's going to accomplish it. At different points, it was even generating a prompt. It was prompting itself to come up with a response. It will refine the prompt, ensure the prompt had all the details that it needed, and it went through each of the stages to come up with this beautiful presentation. Of course, this is not perfect because this is the worst it can ever be. These things keep improving. In a few months, it's going to be quite incredible. But from what I can see so far, this is so nice. And if I'm to open my presentation, it gives me the first page: system, design, essentials, understanding key architecture patterns for scalable systems. The first slide shows me what the agenda is going to be. It covers the software architecture, client server, layer and tier, microservices, event driven. And this is literally what is in my notes. I saw in the prompt when it was trying to remove all of the text in the images, and it went to different sites to get this image. It's going to look for an image that corresponds to what I have in my written text, just like what a human would do. It's like this autonomous system that is able to gather a bunch of bots, command them, ask them to do this, and they all follow. And this is really brilliant. And I can download this if I choose to. I just click on download and it's going to download that as a presentation. And I can have this as a PPT. For my last demo, I mentioned that this is a data channel. And of course, we're going to do something data related. I'm more excited about this because I'm able to build an ETL pipeline with just a prompt. And I've got an unstructured file, very messy file. And that unstructured file, I've got it in a blob storage. I just put it one single file in a blob storage. I'm going to be using this agent to extract, transform, and load. It's going to get this file, do some transformation on the file, and load it into a table in Airtable. I wanted to use a SQL table. I even provisioned one within my Azure portal. But the problem was the agent had issues installing all of the drivers I need to make connection to the SQL table. And as at this time, it's really not able to do that. It had issues getting the drivers, installing all of the packages. It told me that it has complications doing that, which I understand because these things will get better with time. At this moment, it has some limitations. But you know what? I said I still needed to do some form of ETL. I just don't want it to return it as a CSV or Excel and put it into another blob storage. No, I wanted it to be in a table, and I use Airtable. First off, I'm going to show you what my unstructured data looks like. It is unstructured, and it's actually like a form that tells you the date, the comment, the name, email, and rating. Here's 4/5. And I have it just like this. This can also work for handwritten files that you just have like a screenshot or however way you have it. This agent is able to process all of this. So this is what a file looks like. I think I have about 50 entries of this file, and they are just like this, all messy, and I want to get them into a structured format. I've gone ahead to create a resource group, and the resource group is my demo agent video. And this resource group, I had provisioned SQL Server database. I told you initially I tried to do it privately using SQL Server, but it had issued installing the drivers. So what I have here is just the blob storage, which I'm going to be using. And within my blob storage, and in the blob storage, I had created a container called unstructured. Within the container called unstructured, I have my unstructured file that I just uploaded there. And for this container, I have created a shared access token, which is the easiest way if you want to create any kind of temporal access to your storage. So I created this access on a container level, giving the bot access to my container and read the file from it. If you want to learn how to create storage accounts, do a couple of manipulations within Azure Portal, or work with Azure generally, you can check out my other videos within my catalog and understand some of the key terminologies as well within Azure. This video is just for us to be able to do this ETL securely. And this is Airtable. In Airtable, I've created a table, and the table is called my demo agent. The table has only one column. Typically, when you create a table in Airtable, it creates additional fields. I had deleted all of those fields because I don't need them. The bot, I want it to create the fields that it needs when it is working on that. So this is a compulsory field. Unfortunately, I'm not able to delete this. So this is going to remain, and the bot is going to make do with that when it starts working. One more thing is, because this agent needs access to my workspace in Airtable, I need to create something that is going to give it that access to be able to write. And typically you will come to Builder Hub. In the Builder Hub, you can do a couple of things. You could say library, you could say developers, you could say auth integrations, you could say secret, you could say resources. A couple of things you can do here as a developer. But here I'd created a personal access token. And in the personal access token I created, I gave it the name agent demo. I gave it access to read data records. I gave it access to write data records. And here you can see that it can create, edit, and delete records, which is something that I want. I want it to be able to create when it's not available. And you can do all of that. And I only gave it access to this base called my demo agent. That is the table that I had created. It depends. Most times you still maintain the whole principle of data security and only grant least privilege. So you may not want to grant it access to all of your resources. You just want it to have access to a specific base. So you are sure you know what it's going to be doing in that particular workspace. All of the things I have, the personal access token, I'm going to have it visible in this video because by the time I'm done recording, I'm deleting all of this. They are just my personal sandbox where which I just provisioned for the sake of this video. So I've already copied my personal access token, but if you create yours for the first time, you'll see your personal access token to copy. So if I come to ETL prompt, this is the prompt I have created that I'm going to be feeding to my agent. First, the prompt is, I'm going to tell it that you are a data automation agent and you have to monitor my Azure Blob container for any new file that is .txt that follows the unstructured user form layout. It's going to be unstructured, just look out for that. And I'm going to be telling that it to be using the SAS URL, which I have already provided down below. And here I'm just providing the kind of format it should follow to pass every entry and map variant labels to canonical fields. This unstructured file, I want to create some structure because I've looked at it and see that these are the fields that are needed to be in my structured table. The name, email, submission date, comment, and rating. This is the summary of most of those unstructured files that I have. And I just give you some cleaning rules to trim white spaces. A couple of data cleaning that you would typically do if you're working on this as an engineer. So I'm going to provide my endpoint for my Airtable, which is this, and I'm going to also provide the auth header for it. And for here, I'm going to mention that the batch size of Airtable, you should try to do 10 records per post because Airtable could actually run at it's got some limit in the amount of writes that you can do. So I'm just telling it to note that. But even if I don't, it would still be able to note that all it's going to do is if it tries to load everything at the same time, it's going to notice and retry and take correction, maybe make reference to documentation somewhere where it's been stated that this is what you should do. This, in many ways, this prompt could look like an overkill. You may not go into detail because this is autonomous. It's able to understand. If you provide just the basic things, the basic access and the basic prompt, it would understand what it needs to do. So this is where I tell you that if the field is missing, create a new field or rename an existing one. And after everything, I want it to return a report for me, tell me the file name processed, the number of valid rows inserted, number of rows kept, if any error, and all of those things. And here you have my connection detail. Like I told you, I'm going to provide in the full SaaS URL to my container. And within that, I'm having the file name, and it's able to extract all of this information from the full blob SaaS URL. And for the Airtable personal access token I told you about, this is my personal access token. And this is the access token I'm going to be using to make connection to my Airtable. And the Airtable base ID. And to get your base ID, you can come to this URL here in the documentation, provided you're logged in, and you can come down to all of the different bases, which is the tables that you have already created. If I click on my demo agent, it brings me to this place where I can see my demo agent, and it tells me that my base ID is this, and I can see my base ID here, and I can use this base ID. It also gives me my table ID, which is this, which I'm going to be using in my script here. So here I have the base ID, here I have the table ID, and this is what I'm going to be using everywhere. Also here, I'm going to mention that the primary field name is name. So it's going to note that when it's working. These are just operational rules: retry Azure Blob, Airtable calls 3 times, and just telling it to do things I know it's going to do. This is an overkill, like I told you. And I'm going to copy everything. Let's copy everything and let's go try it out. Don't forget, we're getting data from unstructured file in Blob Storage, transforming with our agent, and we're going to have it in Airtable. So I've created a new instance of my ChatGPT and I've put it in the agent mode. So everything looks good from here, and I'm just going to send this. So because this is not going into different websites, trying to log into hotel bookings, check for swimming pool, check for availability, check for prices, it's not doing all of that. And it's not iterating through pages, trying to create presentation. This is likely to run faster because it's pretty straightforward. Just goes and look at the file I have, move it to the Airtable. At the moment, it's still trying to understand the tasks that I've given it, and it's reading through and just kind of preparing the foundational layer before it starts implementation. So it's now doing a search, making a search query on Airtable API documentation, and it's just reading through Airtable documentation, trying to understand the best way to approach it, how to make the connection, what to do with the different information I've provided it. And here you can see Airtable Web API, and it looks like it's gotten the information it needs. It's still making a search to read more on the different API connections for Airtable, and it's trying to do that programmatically. And here it's doing an Airtable Web API search. And you can see the reading mode is telling you that it is reading through the different documentation it has available and trying to look for the right information it's going to use to do the connection. And it's trying to create my Airtable date feed, and it's looking for the documentation regarding that. Now it's in reading mode. So it's looking for date feed options, formatting options that align with what I have in my original prompt. And it tells you the text is going to search for, what term is going to use in making the search. And the way it works, it goes to do a web search. When it does that, it comes back to all of this happens within the sandbox that OpenAI has provided for every agent. And it's like when you call this agent to work, it immediately provisions this environment and start working on it, create the CLI, create all of the environment where it writes its code, search the web, read out documentation, access your reference material, if it's your storage account, if it's your website, anything you want it to do, it does all of that within its own environment. It's like having your own personal computer where you work in. Now it's creating the comment and rating field. Like I said, you can see all the decisions it's making here. If you also want to come back, you could come back here to see the previous steps, or you could just come back to go live. So right now is designing the script to process the file. Well, that was a bit longer than I anticipated, really. But if you want to see what it did, you could see it here in the activity tab and all of the processes it took. And it's just mind-blowing, like I said before. But this is pretty shorter than the previous ones that had to go do various other things. This just 10 minutes and it was done. Along the way, it had a problem with some errors, with some bug. What it had to do, Ina had to go make a web search to read particular documentations to help it understand how to fix that bug. And when I come to Airtable, I can see that all of these fields, they've been populated for me. It literally took this unstructured file that is messy and transformed it into a structured file that I have here. Right now, you can see the data type of this one is string. This is string. This is date data type. This is multi-line, and this is like written star. And this is an impressive feature that we now have within ChatGPT. And the way OpenAI describes it, they called it an agent that works for you with you. And you can see on the humanities last exam full set on the expert level questions across subject, you can see that the ChatGPT agent beat all of the previous models. Beat O3, beat ChatGPT agent no tools, beat O3 Python plus browsing. And it's really incredible, even beat the deep research in Python plus browsing at a 41.6%. And in Frontier Math, you can see that it did way beyond what O4 Mini can even do in Python. And you can see that it has both the terminal, browser, and computer. It provisions this computer, works everything on the terminal, and is able to do that. There are other metrics where this really stands out compared to anything that you can think about. And it's fine, you could go read this paper from ChatGPT and make informed decision. Well, there you have it. I've been able to do the overview to show you what it can do. We've done the first demo where we try to create a presentation from my Notion page where I try to learn system design. And the final one, we did an ETL. Well, you as a data engineer, you've got something that you can start looking at and working on. Please like and subscribe to encourage us to do more of this video and to also help the algorithm show this to people that might be also interested in this and that would definitely benefit from having agents work for them. I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye for now.